Hello, Axiom Church. This is Christoph with Kaiserworks presenting Axiom Play. This is a brief overview of where we stand today. We are ready for site plan submittal. So, with your approval of what we're showing today, we can go ahead and submit as early as Monday or Tuesday next week. Some of these sheets I won't go into detail on, they're simply required by the checklist. What is required is effectively the same as what we did when we submitted for the original building permit as far as the deliverables checklist goes. This site plan here is the first sheet that I think I'll get into and just give us a broad overview. Starting up here at the northeast corner, we have our now 200 square foot proposed storage area. We have this new swath of concrete, which is approximately 1,800 square feet of concrete that incorporates these three trees that are existing. We are proposing a perforated metal screen enclosure for the electric panels that are located on that southeast corner of the building. This is simply given the fact that this is going to be, we feel, less of a back of house scenario. To clean that up and make it feel less back of house, this is an ad alternate. It's something we can leave behind. We simply kept looking at this and thinking, do we want to screen this in some way to make it look a little bit more presented? Moving further directly south, we have our deck. We've grown the deck slightly to the south based on what we learned in our pre-app meeting. It seems that City of Peoria is going to be very workable as far as letting us build closer to our southern property line than we would typically be allowed to build. And so we're showing the columns of our shade structure coming 3 feet or perhaps 2.5 feet from the property line. We're currently showing a hedge that is a backdrop to that scene. This is a hopseed bush hedge. We previously had trees, and City of Peoria came back and said that the trees, the canopy of the trees is too tall to put under the shade canopy. So they're basically not allowing us to have those trees as close to the shade structure as we were presenting previously. On this side, on our east side, we have the shade canopy coming within 6 feet of the property line, but the closest column will be 10 feet from the property line, and that's pending City of Peoria review, but they've given us sort of a soft okay on that. At the corner points of our green grass area, we have posts with floodlights. This will require a photometric study, which we have a proposal for as well. We now have collected proposals for electrical, plumbing, civil engineering, structural engineering, basically everything that has been confirmed that we're going to need for our submittal. Good news on the civil engineering front is that we may have a reduction waiver that's open to us. They've offered it twice. We feel that we're a good candidate for that, and we've had preliminary discussions with 2 civil engineers that seem to indicate that we may not need to do any of the underground retention that we were previously planning for here, and that we may be able to accommodate all of our retention needs in this area here. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but what that may also impact, currently this is sloped. This decomposed granite area is sloped, and you'll probably have noticed that water and a heavy rain is collecting in this area. If possible, what we'd like to do is flatten this out, at least at the portion where we're doing this rolling gate on the southwest corner of the property, so that that rolling gate has a flat surface to roll on. I mean, we could have a curb, of course, that you would step over and have slope DG on either side, but I don't think anyone really wants to do that. And so to make this a little bit more navigable, what we'd like to do is actually reduce some of the retention that we're currently accommodating here, if we in fact succeed in getting that retention waiver. So that's something that we'll have to sort of work through with the City of Peoria, but they've given good indication that that will be a possibility. Here is our outdoor kitchen per the last discussion we've had. It's now sitting on a concrete slab. It's a stainless steel and painted steel enclosure with a 3-compartment sink, or rather a 2-compartment sink with a hand wash sink and a barbecue with room for under-counter refrigerator that you could bring out, or even just an ice chest that you could put there. The wood deck that we had previously is changed slightly. We had introduced this corner set of stairs, and then we've also added stairs on the back side so people can sit at the edge of that deck and look out to the play area. The trees that we were proposing previously have been maintained. We have trees now that are planted along the south edge of the building. We're removing a 2-foot 6-inch wide swath of concrete from the existing concrete path, and that is essentially to accommodate we're trying to buy a little bit more space so that we can get this line of trees against the building to get our shade. This is the mesquite tree that is existing, and we're going to keep that. That's on axis with our entry, and then we're adding these 4 trees on either side of that. Previously, we were showing this as one large bosque of Palabrea trees, thornless variety. Um, and in effort to save money and to save this tree, which already has been very nicely established, we're showing that tree as sort of the break in that otherwise continuous bosque of trees. As an add alternate, we are adding wood benches here. We have 4 benches and then 4 on this other side of this zone that we're calling internally the green zone. So we're seeing this as decomposed granite with soft planting. So soft planting that would define the corners of spaces, and then you would have Adirondack chairs and fire pits that would fill the rest of that space out. We feel this would give a very soft feel to this area, and it would allow people to congregate off the path directly after a service or on a weekend event. Generally speaking, what we're doing with the addition of a space like this, with the addition of this concrete swath, with the addition of the shade canopy and the deck, this is beginning to feel much more like a campus, and I think that's the direction that's the desired intent for what we've been talking about. Again, on axis with the building, we have freestanding community tables. This is simply a suggestion of use for this area, a place that people can go out to. This table could be set after a service for a large after-service community dinner. This would or could be used in conjunction with our concrete community table that sits out at the street edge. We're showing this currently at 25 feet in length, and I'll come back to that a little bit later in some additional sheets. This is a demo plan. In this demo plan, we're showing these trees that the city of Peoria has asked us to remove if we are doing the shade canopy. And then this planted area in the front would also be eliminated to make way for a decomposed granite path that the table would sit on. This is a zoom in of the play area, and this is the play structure. I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds in the play structure. We've chased approximately 4 different companies in effort to get numbers on this, and I think I'll have that conversation on the side. We're actually going to get new information on Monday from 2 different companies that will I'll be able to speak a little bit more informed on what our options are here. This is the elevation of the play structure. These drawings haven't changed too much from what we sent you on the last round. The idea being that this is a very minimalist wood vertically striated play area, and there's various platforms within each of these structures, and you can go from one to the next by way of a rope bridge or by way of a wood bridge in the second case. This has changed in this elevation drawing from what we had shown last time. Minimally, we're simply showing the steps so that you can sit on that Trex deck and put your feet down on one of the steps, or the same is true on this northwest corner of that deck. Elevation drawings, these are required by the city of Peoria, and we're showing here the community board that is enveloping our existing window. We see an opportunity here for an exterior menu, and then using reclaimed wood as a tack board for the community. We're seeing this as having a continuous LED light strip that's tucked up into the frame, so in the evening this would be illuminated. This is the existing gate, and then the rolling gate adjacent to it, and then we're proposing this new gate per our last discussion that would allow you to open up this 20-foot length, so both gates would stow behind this location of fixed fence. And then we're showing our community table here in the foreground, the playground and the shade structure in the background. Phase 3 would be, we'd be seeing the building face that would be built right on the edge of the street, as we've talked about previously. And with that new building, this really does become a central treed courtyard at the center of the project. Here's the colored elevation. This was also required by City of Peoria. This next sheet is the material board, also required by City of Peoria. This is our decomposed granite. This is honed concrete. This will be a decision we make in concert with you, but one idea we had for that the concrete table is that it would be honed concrete, potentially using a white concrete This is standard color concrete. We'd like to use titanium dioxide in the mix, which gives you this really beautiful white concrete where the top surface would be honed and every other surface would be the cast face of that material. And while I'm on that subject, these are 3 drawings on sheet A60 that show just 3 thoughts we had. These are all very similar thoughts, but um, the idea being that you would have this very sculptural white concrete table. Here we're showing these legs that come down and they curve at the base. They would be connected to a footing below grade, but the idea is that these three legs representing the Trinity, this tree of life sort of emerging from the center of the table. It's actually not at center, it's off center, which is on axis with the grid of trees that we have elsewhere, but we thought that play of having something that's fairly regular and then having the tree that's slightly off center would make for a very beautiful sculptural moment. This is also a tree that we would either uplight by virtue of shining lights up into it, or could have garden lights. So we thought that could make a really beautiful scene for the community, whether it's being used or not. If it's not being used, this would simply be an illuminated tree with this very beautiful table at the base of it. And then if it's being used, you can imagine, as we're showing in the plan, tables or chairs that go all the way around this table, sitting at the street edge. This last slide is our landscape plan. And again, it primarily has to do with these trees that you see in gray at this location here, and then the additional one at the bike rack. And then this, what we're calling the green zone, which is loose planting in this general area right here. So we look forward to your thoughts on this. I'm going to be sending this with a revised estimate. We've added quite a few things since we initially embarked on this, and I want to get your read on this, and it's really a bit of a reality check just to make sure that we're on the same page with how much what our total budget can be going forward, and that's something that we probably want to edit before we go into the city. If we can, I guess in terms of site plan scope, if we need to reduce anything in the budget that's going to impact our site plan, we should do that now before we go into the city. I realize this is a lot all at once, so we look forward to talking with you about this. Perhaps we can jump on a Zoom call next week and discuss this further. Thank you.